The doors of Incheon International Airport opened like the mouth of another life. Heat struck Sonia Samuel first. Not gentle warmth, not welcome. A thick, wet wall of Seoul summer slammed into her skin, carrying the smell of jet fuel, rain-soaked pavement, perfume, fried garlic, and money. Everything moved too fast. The train announcements, the black-suited drivers holding name cards, the river of strangers flowing past her with designer luggage, polished shoes, and lives that looked already decided. Sonia stood still for half a second. Only half. Women like her did not get the luxury of freezing. "Mom," Maya groaned beside her, tugging at one of her afro puffs. "My hair is already fighting for its life." Sonia glanced down at her daughter and almost smiled. Almost. "It's called volume. Respect it." Maya rolled her eyes, but the corner of her mouth twitched. On Sonia's other side, Andre stood with his headphones swallowing half his face, his shoulders curved inward, his eyes fixed on the floor like he could disappear into the shine of the airport tiles if he tried hard enough. Sonia touched his shoulder. "Headphones off, baby. New country. New rules. We pay attention." Andre pulled one side down. "Are we really staying here?" The question slipped between Sonia's ribs and pressed against something bruised. She looked past the glass, past the waiting taxis, past the glowing Korean signs she could read only in pieces. 6 months. That was what she had. 6 months of savings. 6 months to make the Seoul International Academy believe she was worth the salary. 6 months to prove to her children that leaving Washington, D.C. had been courage, not desperation. Behind her was a divorce that had not ended so much as chewed through her life and spat her out across an ocean. Mike had taken the house. The lawyers had taken the money. The whispers had taken her name. But he had not taken her children. And he had not taken her spine. Sonia tightened her grip on the carry-on handle until her knuckles ached. "We're staying," she said, "because we didn't come this far to run back scared." Maya looked at her. Andre looked away. Neither of them said what they were both thinking. They had already run once, from the house where their father used silence like punishment, from the church friends who said, "Pray harder," as if Sonia had not prayed until her throat felt scraped raw, from the school mothers who stopped inviting her children over after the court filings went public, from the life where everyone knew her pain, but no one wanted to stand close enough to be inconvenienced by it. Sonia had crossed an ocean because sometimes starting over did not look like healing. Sometimes it looked like survival wearing lipstick. Her phone buzzed. She frowned and pulled it from her purse. Unknown number. One message. "Welcome to Seoul, Ms. Samuel. The Academy has been waiting for you longer than you know." For 1 second, the airport noise dulled. The voices, the wheels, the announcements, the laughter. All of it blurred into a low, distant hum. Sonia stared at the screen. Then she slowly lifted her eyes. Across the arrival hall, beyond a row of black cars and uniformed drivers, a man stood near a pillar. Charcoal suit, white shirt, no tie, still as a judgment. He did not look curious. He did not look surprised. He looked as though her arrival was not news to him, as though she had stepped exactly where someone had planned for her to stand. "Sonia Samuel?" A driver appeared in front of her with a sign. Sonia blinked and looked at him. "Yes." The driver bowed. "From Seoul International Academy. I will take you and your children to the residence." Maya leaned close. "Mom, why does this feel like the beginning of a spy movie?" "Because you watch too much Netflix," Sonia muttered. But her eyes drifted back toward the pillar. The man was gone. Only the crowd remained. Sonia looked down at the message again. Then she deleted it. Not because it didn't scare her, because she refused to let fear be the first thing Seoul taught her. She lifted her chin, pulled her suitcase forward, and stepped into the city. She had crossed an ocean to survive. She did not yet know Seoul had already chosen her as a threat. 80 floors above Seoul, Kim Jaehyun listened to powerful men lie. They did it elegantly, with numbers, with projections, with polite smiles and expensive watches. On the wall-length screen, the Busan expansion report glowed in clean lines and soft corporate blue. Delays were called adjusted timelines. Missing funds became reallocation irregularities. Failure wore a tailored suit and expected applause. Jaehyun did not blink. The room slowly stopped breathing. 3%, he said. No one moved. The project is 3% over budget. Director Han cleared his throat. Chairman, with respect, on a project of this scale. With respect, Jaehyun interrupted softly, is usually what incompetent men say before asking me to finance their embarrassment. Silence dropped like a blade. Jaehyun stood. He was 42, sharp-eyed, composed, and so controlled that even his anger had manners. Men twice his age lowered their gazes when he passed. Ministers returned his calls before the second ring. Banks changed their tone when his name appeared on a document. He had built an empire out of discipline and buried everything human beneath it. Fix it by Friday, he said, or I will replace every man in this room with someone whose calculator is not sentimental. Chairs scraped. Executives bowed. The room emptied in less than 30 seconds. Only after the door closed did his secretary enter. Secretary Kim was one of the few people alive who understood that Jaehyun's silence could mean boredom, danger, or murder in a better suit. The Academy board called, Chairman. Jaehyun turned toward the window. Seoul glittered beneath him, obedient and restless. What do they want now? They are concerned about the new dean of students. Concerned? She suspended Park Min-jun. Jaehyun's eyes shifted. The minister's son? Yes. For what? Throwing a chair at another student. And the board is concerned because she punished him? Secretary Kim hesitated. They say she lacks cultural sensitivity. For the first time that morning, Jaehyun smiled. It was not warm. It was worse. What is her name? Sonia Samuel. The name settled into the room strangely. Jaehyun looked back at the city. Somewhere below, a woman had done what an entire school board had been too afraid to do. He should have dismissed her as reckless, troublesome, temporary. Instead, he found himself asking one question. What does she look like? Secretary Kim blinked once. Jaehyun did not repeat himself. The secretary stepped forward and placed a slim file on the desk. Jaehyun opened it. The photograph was professional, taken for school records. Sonia Samuel stared out from the page with dark espresso skin, sharp brown eyes, full lips, and the kind of face that did not ask permission to enter a room. She was beautiful, yes. But beauty was common in Jaehyun's world. It could be bought, edited, trained, polished, sponsored. This was different. There was war in her stillness, not loud war, not desperate war, the kind of war that had already survived fire and decided it had no interest in explaining the burn marks. Jaehyun closed the file. For a long moment he said nothing. Then he asked, who hired her? The recommendation came from the International Committee. That was not my question. Secretary Kim's face tightened. I am still tracing it. Jaehyun looked toward the Skyline again. The academy belonged to the KJ Foundation. Its board believed it managed the school. They were wrong. Everything with his name attached belonged in some way to him, and yet a foreign dean had entered his institution through a door he had not opened. Interesting, dangerous, unacceptable. Find out who brought her to Seoul, Jaehyun said. And the board? Tell them I will attend the Blue Moon Gala. Secretary Kim paused. You have refused that event for 6 consecutive years. Jaehyun picked up Sonia's file again. Yes, he said quietly. This year I am curious what my money has been protecting. By 10 a.m. on her first official day, Sonia Samuel had already learned 3 things about Seoul International Academy. 1. The floors were polished enough to reflect hypocrisy. 2. The students wore uniforms that cost more than most families' rent. 3. Rich parents did not believe in discipline. They believed in negotiation. Mrs. Park stormed into Sonia's office wearing white Chanel in rage, her diamond bracelet flashing every time she moved her hand. "My son does not receive detention," she said. Sonia sat behind her desk, calm as a locked door. "Your son threw a chair. He was provoked. He missed another student's head by 2 inches. My husband is a primary stakeholder in the land this school sits on." Sonia leaned back slightly, not because she was retreating, because she wanted to give Mrs. Park enough room to embarrass herself fully. "Mrs. Park," Sonia said, "I don't care if your husband owns the moon and rents out stars on weekends. Your son threw a chair at another child. In my hallway, money does not turn violence into personality." The school secretary froze outside the glass wall. Mrs. Park's mouth parted. She had expected apology, fear, at the very least, softness. Sonia gave her none of it. "You are new here," Mrs. Park said coldly. "Yes. You do not understand how things work." Sonia smiled. It was small. It was lethal. "I understand perfectly. That is why your son has detention." Mrs. Park stepped closer to the desk. "Do you know who I can call?" "Yes," Sonia said. "But before you call him, decide whether you want to explain detention or suspension. Because if you keep threatening me in my office, I will upgrade the consequence before you reach the elevator." The silence became violent. For one suspended second, the entire administrative floor seemed to hold its breath. Then Mrs. Park gathered her handbag. "This will not be forgotten." Sonia's eyes did not move. "Good. Maybe next time your son reaches for a chair, he'll remember too." Mrs. Park left with the stiff, furious dignity of a woman unused to losing in public. The secretary entered slowly. "Dean Samuel." Sonia looked up. "Yes?" The secretary swallowed. "No one speaks to Mrs. Park that way." Sonia signed the detention form. Apparently someone needed to start. By lunch, the story had spread through the school like spilled oil. The foreign dean, the black dean, the American woman, the divorced one, the one with children, the one who did not bow. Some students whispered with admiration. Some parents whispered with offense. Some teachers looked at Sonia as if she were either salvation or a bomb. By 3 o'clock, the first anonymous email arrived. "You do not belong here." Sonia stared at it. Then she printed it, placed it in a folder labeled Threats, and went back to work. At 4:15, Andre appeared in her doorway with his backpack hanging from one shoulder. "Mom?" She knew that tone. "What happened?" He walked in and shut the door. "There's a group of boys in my class. They keep asking if we're poor." Sonia's face did not change, but something inside her went cold. "What did you say?" "I said not poor enough to need their personality." Despite herself, Sonia almost laughed. Almost. Andre looked down. "Then one of them said Dad probably sent us away because you're difficult." The office went very still. Sonia slowly removed her glasses. That one had found blood. Andre tried to shrug. "It's whatever." "No," Sonia said softly. "It is not whatever." He looked at her. She stood and came around the desk. "Listen to me. You do not have to earn dignity from people who were raised to confuse cruelty with confidence. You already have it." Andre's jaw tightened. "Then why does it feel like we're always proving it?" Sonia had no easy answer, so she gave him the truth. Because some people are terrified of anyone they cannot place beneath them. Andre looked away. Sonia touched his chin and gently turned his face back to hers. "But they picked the wrong family." His eyes softened. A knock sounded. The secretary stood at the door, pale. Dean Samuel, the board has requested a meeting tomorrow morning. Sonia's mouth curved. Of course they have. The secretary lowered her voice. And there is something else. She handed Sonia a gold-embossed envelope. Sonia opened it. The invitation was thick, elegant, and expensive enough to insult the concept of paper. The Blue Moon Gala, hosted by the Seoul International Academy Foundation, in honor of educational excellence and global leadership. At the bottom, written by hand in black ink, attendance required. Sonia stared at those two words. Required. Not invited. Summoned. Andre looked at the card. Are you going? Sonia thought of the anonymous email. Mrs. Park's threat. The boys who had already decided her son was available for humiliation. The unseen hands moving around her life. Then she closed the envelope. Yes, she said. Andre frowned. Why? Sonia looked through the glass wall at the shining halls of Seoul International Academy. Because if they're going to come for me, she said, they can look me in the face while they do it. I'm not wearing that. Maya stood in the apartment doorway, staring at the cream gown hanging from the closet like it had committed a crime. Sonia was seated on the edge of the bed, rubbing lotion into her arms. You are not wearing it. I am. Maya crossed her arms. Exactly. That's the problem. Sonia lifted an eyebrow. Maya walked over and touched the silk. Mom, this dress says, I came here to ruin someone's bloodline. Despite everything, Sonia laughed, a real laugh. It startled both of them. Maya smiled slowly, pleased with herself. Sonia looked at the dress again. Cream silk, deep neckline, open back, elegant, bold, and entirely too much for a school fundraiser full of rich people pretending charity was not a tax strategy. It's inappropriate, Sonia said. No, Maya corrected. It's honest. Sonia looked at her daughter. Maya's voice softened. Mom, they already think you're too much, so be too much on purpose. The words landed quietly, painfully. Sonia had spent years shrinking her anger so Mike would not call her unstable, shrinking her beauty so insecure women would not call her desperate, shrinking her voice so white administrators would call her professional, shrinking her dreams so her children could have something steady to stand on. And still, people had found reasons to call her difficult. Maybe Maya was right. Maybe if the world was going to accuse her of being too much, she might as well stop doing it at half strength. 2 hours later, Sonia stood before the mirror. The cream gown hugged her body like a secret finally spoken aloud. Her dark skin glowed against the silk. Gold hoops brushed her jaw. Her hair, swept back into a low, elegant style, exposed a long line of her neck. She did not look like a woman who had been abandoned. She did not look like a woman who had counted grocery money with shaking hands. She looked like a queen who had survived exile and decided the throne could wait. Maya appeared behind her. Exactly! Andre peeked in from the hallway and immediately looked traumatized. Mom, please don't make anybody fall in love with you tonight. I'm tired. Sonia turned, amused. Boy, go do your homework. I'm serious. You look expensive. Maya nodded. Dangerously expensive. Sonia grabbed her clutch. Good, she said. Maybe they'll think twice before wasting my time. But as she stepped into the hallway, her phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Cream suits you. Sonia stopped. Her blood chilled. Maya noticed. Mom? Sonia turned the phone face down. Nothing. But it was not nothing. Someone knew what she was wearing before she left her apartment. Someone was watching. The gala was held inside the glass and marble heart of the KJ Cultural Center, a building so beautiful it felt hostile. Chandeliers floated like frozen moons. Waiters moved silently with trays of champagne. Women in couture dresses smiled at one another, with eyes sharp enough to open skin. Sonia entered alone. The room noticed, not politely, completely. Conversation thinned. Heads turned. Fans moved. Whispers began. She felt them crawl over her skin. The foreign dean. That is her? She is older than I expected. Beautiful, though. Dangerous. Sonia walked forward as if every stare belonged to her. At the far end of the room, Mrs. Park saw her and stiffened. Beside her stood a cluster of women who looked like they had been carved from money and cooled in contempt. One of them stepped forward, tall, elegant, dressed in pale silver. Her smile was perfect. Her eyes were dead. You must be Dean Samuel. Sonia offered her hand. I am. The woman looked at Sonia's hand for a fraction too long before taking it. Lee Sora, she said, my family supports the Academy's Global Arts Program. The name moved through the room like a warning. Sonia had heard it already. Shipping heiress, board favorite, untouchable. I've heard of your work, Sonia said. Sora's smile widened. How generous. There it was. The first cut, wrapped in silk. Sonia tilted her head. I try. Sora stepped closer, lowering her voice just enough for intimacy, but not enough to hide the insult from nearby ears. You are very brave, Dean Samuel. Sonia smiled. People keep saying that like it's a diagnosis. Several women went still. Sora laughed softly. It must be difficult. A new country. 2 children. So many unfamiliar expectations. Sonia's smile did not move. It is difficult. Sora's eyes glittered. But then, I've always found difficulty reveals people. Some rise. Some require rescue. Sonia let the silence stretch. Then she looked Sora over slowly. Not rudely. Worse. Accurately. Is that what you do? Sonia asked. Rescue people? Sora's expression cooled. Sonia leaned in slightly. How noble. The women around them stopped pretending not to listen. Before Sora could answer, a ripple moved through the room. A different kind of silence fell. Not social, structural. Power had entered. Sonia felt it before she turned. Kim Jaehyun walked into the gala without announcement, and yet the entire room rearranged itself around him. Men straightened. Women softened their faces. Board members moved toward him like iron filings drawn to a magnet. He wore a black tuxedo with no unnecessary ornament, his dark hair brushed back, his face calm to the point of cruelty. He did not scan the room. He searched it. Then his eyes found Sonia. Everything stopped. Not in the room, in him. Sonia felt it across the distance. The recognition was not soft. It was impact. For one dangerous second, the chairman who owned half the city looked like a man who had just seen color for the first time and did not trust himself with it. Sora saw it. Mrs. Park saw it. Half the board saw it. And Sonia, against every instinct that had kept her alive, could not look away. Jaehyun approached. People parted for him. He stopped in front of Sonia, close enough for her to catch the scent of oud, clean linen, and something colder beneath it. Dean Samuel, he said. His voice was quiet, not gentle, quiet like a locked room. Chairman Kim. A faint change moved over his face. You know me. I work at your academy. My name is on the building. That does not mean people know me. Sonia held his gaze. Then maybe you should stop putting your name on buildings and introduce yourself like everyone else. A sound moved through the nearby guests. Shock, amusement, fear for her. Jaehyun stared at her. Then, impossibly, he smiled. Not fully, just enough to ruin the balance of the evening. Sora's fingers tightened around her champagne glass. Jaehyun extended his hand. Then allow me to correct the mistake. Kim Jaehyun. Sonia looked at his hand, then took it. His palm was warm, his grip controlled. But the moment their skin touched, something passed between them that neither one had language for. Not lust, recognition, like two locked doors discovering they shared the same key. Sonia released him first. Jaehyun noticed. Of course he noticed. Sora stepped in smoothly. Chairman Kim, the board was hoping to discuss the scholarship announcement with you. Jaehyun did not look away from Sonia. The board hopes for many things. A small, brutal pause. Most of them disappoint me. Sonia almost smiled. Sora did not. The gala dinner began. Sonia found herself seated at a table too close to Jaehyun for coincidence, and too far for comfort. She spent the first course listening to board members speak about disadvantaged children with the polished sadness of people who had never met one without taking a photo. Then Minister Park stood, Mrs. Park's husband. Of course. He lifted his glass. To tradition, he said, smiling across the room, and to the delicate balance between global ambition and cultural respect. The insult was dressed as a toast. People raised their glasses. Sonia did not. Minister Park looked directly at her. It is important, he continued, that those who enter our institutions understand they are joining a legacy. They are not here to rewrite it. The room waited. Sonia felt Jaehyun's gaze on her. Maya's words came back. Be too much on purpose. Sonia picked up her glass and stood. A low murmur moved through the room. She smiled at Minister Park. Thank you for that reminder. His smile thinned. Sonia turned to the room. Legacy matters. I agree. But legacy is not a museum piece we dust off to impress donors. Legacy is what remains after power is forced to answer for who it protected and who it sacrificed. The room went silent, completely silent. Sonia continued. If tradition teaches children that wealth can excuse cruelty, then tradition has become cowardice with better manners. And if cultural respect means asking victims to lower their voices so powerful families can remain comfortable, then I am afraid I must disappoint you. Her eyes moved to Mrs. Park, then back to the room. At the academy, no child is too rich to be corrected, no parent is too powerful to be questioned, and no donation is large enough to purchase silence from my office. No one breathed. Jaehyun's expression did not change, but his eyes did. Something inside them lit. Sonia lifted her glass. To legacy, she said. May we finally become worthy of it. She sat. For 3 seconds, no one moved. Then Jaehyun lifted his glass. One by one, others followed, not because they agreed, because he had. Sora watched Sonia with a smile that no longer pretended to be pleasant. And across the ballroom, a man Sonia had not noticed lowered his phone after recording every word. By midnight, Sonia Samuel was the most talked about woman in Seoul. By morning, half the city would want her gone, and one man would decide that if Seoul wanted to make her kneel, it would have to go through him first. The coffee appeared 3 days later. At exactly 7:45 a.m., Sonia stepped into her office to find a ceramic cup on her desk, steam rising in thin white ribbons. No note, no name, just coffee. She stopped in the doorway. The secretary looked up quickly. That was delivered before I arrived. By who? I don't know. Sonia approached the desk slowly. The scent reached her first. Rich, dark, familiar. Her stomach tightened. Jamaican Blue Mountain. Mike had hated the smell of it. Said it was too strong, too expensive, too much like her. She had stopped buying it during the marriage. Stopped many things. Sonia stared at the cup. Then she picked it up, walked to the sink, and poured it out. The next morning, it appeared again. Same time, same cup, same impossible memory. She poured it out again. On Friday, there was a note. Not handwritten. Printed. You should not have to drink bad coffee because your past had poor taste. Sonia's fingers tightened around the paper. She knew. Not fully, but enough. That afternoon, Maya burst into the apartment waving a thick envelope. Mom! Sonia looked up from the kitchen counter where she was trying to stretch chicken, rice, and vegetables into something that felt like dinner and not mathematics. What happened? Maya's eyes were bright, too bright. I got accepted into the Seoul Institute of Fine Arts summer fellowship. Full ride. Supplies included. Studio access included. Mom, they said my portfolio was recommended. Sonia went still. What portfolio? Maya blinked. Mine. Maya. Her daughter's smile faltered. Sonia set down the knife. I never uploaded your portfolio. The room changed. Andre looked up from the table. Maya lowered the envelope. But they had my work. Sonia crossed the kitchen and took the letter. The paper was real. The stamp was real. The opportunity was real. That was what made it terrifying. Someone had reached into her daughter's life and opened a door without permission. That night, Sonia barely slept. By Monday, the help became impossible to ignore. Andre was caught in a sudden monsoon outside the school gates, standing dry beneath a massive black umbrella held by a man in a charcoal suit. Behind them waited a black Mercedes SUV. Sonia stepped out of the school building and froze. Andre saw her and immediately looked guilty, though he had done nothing wrong. The suited man bowed. Dean Samuel, the chairman asked that your son not wait in the rain. The words were polite. The meaning was not. Sonia walked toward him. My son has a mother. The man bowed again. Yes, Dean Samuel. Then next time, unless his life is in danger, you will not touch his schedule, his transportation, his weather, or his umbrella. Andre whispered, Mom. Sonia did not look away from the man. Do you understand? Yes, Dean Samuel. She took Andre's hand and led him away. The Mercedes remained behind them like a silent accusation. That evening, Sonia did not call. She did not email. She did not request an appointment. The next morning, she walked into KJ Group headquarters in a black power suit and heels that struck the marble floor like gunfire. Security moved toward her, then stopped. There are women who look angry. There are women who look dangerous. Sonia looked like consequences. The receptionist rose. Ma'am, do you have an appointment? No. Then I'm afraid I'm not. She walked past. By the time she reached the executive elevator, 3 security guards had decided they had families to return to and stepped aside. On the 80th floor, Secretary Kim stood as the elevator doors opened. His face betrayed nothing, but his eyes widened just enough. Dean Samuel, move. The chairman is in a private call. I said move. Secretary Kim hesitated. Then, wisely, he moved. Sonia pushed through the double doors. Kim Jaehyun stood by the window with the phone in one hand. He turned. He did not look surprised. He looked like a man who had been waiting for the storm and had chosen not to close the windows. He ended the call. Sonia. The sound of her first name in his mouth made her angrier. Do not. His eyes sharpened. She strode toward him. The coffee. My daughter's fellowship. The car. The umbrella. Whatever else you've done that I haven't found yet. It stops today. Jaehyun slid one hand into his pocket. Your daughter is talented. She is not yours to sponsor. Your son was standing in the rain. He has stood in worse and survived. Something flickered in his face. Sonia stepped closer. I am not one of your projects. I am not a wounded animal outside your glass tower. I am not a school wing to renovate, a scholarship to fund, or a poor little foreign woman who needs a rich man to arrange the weather. Jaehyun's jaw tightened. That is not what I think. Then what do you think? Silence. Not empty. Charged. He looked at her for a long moment. Then he said, I think I have built my entire life around solving problems before they become pain. Sonia laughed once, coldly. And you decided I was pain? No. He moved toward her, slowly, carefully. For the first time, she saw restraint in him. Not weakness, restraint. He stopped close enough that the air between them changed. I decided you had carried too much of it alone. The words hit harder than they should have. Sonia hated that. She hated him a little for seeing anything. You don't know me? No, he said. But I know what it looks like when someone has trained herself to bleed silently because the world punishes women for making noise. Her throat tightened. She looked away first. A mistake. He saw that too. Jaehyun's voice dropped. Do you know what frightens me about you, Sonia? She forced herself to look back. That I won't bow? No. His eyes were dark, controlled, and burning at the edges. That you make me want to become a man instead of a weapon. The room went too quiet. Sonia felt the words land somewhere she had locked years ago. She should have stepped back. She did not. Instead, she whispered, Then become one without building a cage around me. His gaze moved over her face, slowly, like he was memorizing a commandment. What are the rules? He asked. Sonia blinked. What? If I'm not allowed to protect you my way, tell me yours. That disarmed her more than the gifts had, because Mike had never asked for rules. Mike had called boundaries disrespect. Mike had treated her not as a challenge, her silence as consent, her exhaustion as proof she was difficult. But Jaehyun stood there, powerful enough to bend institutions, and asked her how not to hurt her. Sonia swallowed. No gifts without asking. Yes. No touching my children's lives without my permission. Yes. No watching me. A pause. His face did not change, but she saw it. The answer before he gave it. Sonia's blood cooled. You have someone watching me. For security. For control. For safety. My safety belongs to me. His eyes hardened. There are people in this city who will not forgive you for embarrassing them. Then let them choke on it. They will come for your children. The words cut through the room. Sonia went still. Jaehyun's voice softened, but only slightly. You think I am the danger because I am visible. I am not. I am the only danger in this city honest enough to stand in front of you. Sonia's hands curled. You don't get to scare me into trusting you. No, he said. I don't. He reached into his jacket. Sonia stiffened. He noticed and slowed. Then he pulled out a slim black card and placed it on the desk between them. One number, mine, not my office, not my secretary, mine. Use it if you need help. I won't. I know. Then why give it to me? His gaze held hers. Because one day you may want the choice. Sonia stared at the card, then at him. You are a very difficult man. His mouth curved faintly. I have been told. By women? By governments. She hated that she almost smiled. He saw that too. Of course he did. So she picked up the card, walked to the door, and stopped before opening it. One more rule. Yes? She looked back. Do not fall in love with me because I stood up to powerful men. That is not love. That is admiration with a fever. Jaehyun said nothing. Sonia opened the door. Behind her, his voice came quiet and certain. Too late. She froze. For 1 second, she did not breathe. Then she left. Jaehyun stood alone in the office, staring at the door she had slammed behind her. Secretary Kim entered carefully. Chairman, Jaehyun did not turn. Cancel my evening. You have the finance minister at 7. Cancel him. The Japanese investors at 8. Cancel them. Secretary Kim paused. And what should I say? Jaehyun looked down at the city. For the first time in 20 years, the Skyline bored him. Tell them, he said, I have encountered something more important than money. Sonia did not invite Jaehyun to dinner. That mattered. Maya did. It happened because Andre got into a fight. Not a dramatic one. Not the kind with blood and broken noses. The worst kind. The kind where a boy smiled while saying something ugly enough to make violence feel reasonable. By the time Sonia arrived at the school gym, Andre was sitting on a bench with bruised knuckles, furious eyes, and the ruined dignity of a 14-year-old boy trying not to cry. The other boy's mother demanded expulsion. The other boy's father demanded police involvement. The other boy himself sat quietly, with the smug peace of someone who knew the system had always held a pillow beneath his falls. Sonia asked one question. What did he say? No one answered. So Andre did. He said Maya only got her fellowship because rich Korean men like black women when they're desperate. The room died. Sonia turned slowly toward the other boy. His smirk faded. Then she turned to his parents. I want the security footage. I want the audio from the gym monitors. I want both students separated. And if anyone in this room says the word expulsion before I finish my investigation, I will make sure this conversation becomes a legal document. The father scoffed. You are threatening us? Sonia smiled. No, I'm describing the weather before it rains. That should have been the end of it, but by the time she returned home with Andre, Jaehyun was waiting outside the apartment building. No guards, no driver visible. Just him, standing under the dim stairwell light in a black coat, looking entirely too expensive for a place where the elevator worked only when it felt emotionally supported. Sonia stopped. Why are you here? His eyes moved to Andre's bruised hand. Andre looked away. Jaehyun's face became unreadable. I heard. Sonia exhaled sharply. Of course you did. Before she could continue, Maya opened the apartment door behind them. Oh, good, you're here. Sonia turned. Maya. Maya looked innocent. Too innocent. I invited him. You did what? And before you get mad, I did it because Andre won't talk. You're pretending you're not about to explode. And Mr. Chairman looks like he could use food that wasn't arranged with tweezers. Jaehyun blinked. Andre muttered, She's not wrong. Sonia closed her eyes. Lord, give me patience. Maya stepped aside. Dinner's almost ready. Sonia looked at Jaehyun. This is not a date. I understand. This is not a family moment. I understand. You're not allowed to buy the building after tasting my cooking. A pause. Jaehyun looked genuinely disappointed. Sonia pointed at him. I mean it. He bowed his head slightly. I will try to control myself. That was how the most powerful man in Seoul ended up sitting in Sonia Samuel's cramped mapo-gu kitchen while catfish fried in hot oil and Andre pretended not to watch him. Jaehyun looked absurd on the outlet store stool. His suit alone probably cost more than everything in the room combined, but he did not seem disgusted. He seemed still, not bored, still, like he had entered a place where no one needed anything from him, and his body did not know what to do with the absence of demand. Sonia plated the fish and set it before him. It's not 5-star. Jaehyun looked down at the plate. Catfish, rice, greens, hot sauce on the side, steam rising like memory. What is it? He asked. Sonia paused, then said, Home. He looked at her. Something quiet passed through his face. Then he picked up the fork and took a bite. Nobody spoke. Maya watched him with open curiosity. Andre pretended not to care. Sonia waited for the polite reaction. Instead, Jaehyun closed his eyes. Just for a second. But Sonia saw it. He swallowed, then took another bite, and another. Like a man who had spent his whole life eating beautifully arranged emptiness and had just discovered food could forgive him. Andre broke the silence. You like basketball? Jaehyun looked up. I understand the rules. Andre snorted. That's not what I asked. Maya covered a laugh. Sonia gave Andre a warning look. Jaehyun set down his fork. Then ask properly. Andre leaned back. Lakers or Celtics? Jaehyun considered this with the seriousness of a merger. Lakers. Andre's face lit up. Okay, you can stay. Sonia almost dropped the serving spoon. Jaehyun looked at her. For the first time, not as chairman, not as weapon, as a man trying not to smile too much because he did not know whether he had permission. After dinner, Maya showed him her sketches, not because she trusted him, because she wanted to test him. She laid them across the coffee table, all charcoal and ink, all fierce lines and unfinished emotion. These are Haenyeo women, she said, the sea divers from Jeju. Jaehyun studied the drawings, really studied them, not with the bored approval rich adults gave talented children, with attention. You drew their hands correctly, he said. Maya blinked. What? The strength is in the hands. Most people would make them graceful. You made them tired. That is more honest. Maya stared at him, then looked at Sonia like, unfortunately, he passed. Andre later dragged him into a debate about defensive rotations that became so heated, Sonia had to remind both of them that neither one coached in the NBA. By 9:30, the children had retreated to their rooms. The apartment became quiet. Sonia walked Jaehyun to the door. For a moment, they stood too close. The hallway light flickered above them. You were different tonight, she said. His eyes lowered to hers. So were you. I was in my house. Yes, he said. That is what undid me. Her breath caught. He did not touch her. He remembered the rules. That made it worse. Sonia opened the door. You should go. I know. He stepped into the hallway, then stopped. Sonia. She looked at him. His voice was low. When that boy spoke about your daughter, I wanted to destroy his father's world. I know. But you didn't need that from me. No. His jaw tightened. What did you need? Sonia looked toward Maya's closed bedroom door, then Andre's, then back at him. I needed my children to see that I could stand without someone bigger standing in front of me. Jaehyun absorbed that, slowly, painfully. Then he nodded. Next time, he said, I will stand beside you. The words were simple, but they reached her. He left. Sonia closed the door and leaned against it. Her heart was not racing. That would have been easier. Instead, it was opening, carefully, angrily, against her will. Peace lasted 11 days. That was all Seoul gave them. 11 days of stolen phone calls, of Jaehyun asking before sending anything, of Sonia pretending she did not look forward to the sound of his voice, of Maya pretending she did not like him, of Andre failing to pretend at all. Then the cameras came. It happened after a late school meeting. Rain had turned the streets slick and silver. Sonia stepped out of the academy with Maya and Andre under one umbrella, already calculating dinner, laundry, emails, and whether she had enough emotional strength left to help Andre with algebra. A black SUV waited near the curb. Jaehyun stood beside it, not hidden, not casual, waiting. Maya groaned softly. Oh, he's committed. Andre whispered, Respect? Sonia shot them both a look. Jaehyun approached with a second umbrella. I asked first, he said. Sonia's mouth twitched. You asked if you could drive us home. You did not ask if you could appear like the final scene of a music video. I will be more specific next time. There will not be a next time if you keep looking like that outside my workplace. Like what? Expensive. Maya coughed to hide a laugh. Jaehyun held the umbrella over Sonia without touching her. That small restraint nearly broke her, more than any grand gesture. They reached the SUV. Then the first flash went off. White light exploded across Sonia's vision. Maya gasped. Andre turned sharply. Another flash, then another. Men rushed from behind parked cars and scooters, cameras raised, voices sharp. Chairman Kim! Is this the foreign dean? Ms. Samuel, are you the reason KJ stock fell? Are the children his responsibility now? Did you receive money from KJ Group? Is it true your ex-husband accused you of instability? Sonia froze. Not because she was weak, because trauma is a thief. It does not ask permission before dragging the past into the present. Suddenly she was back in D.C. court steps. Mike's lawyer, whispers, a camera outside the school. A woman from church pretending concern while asking whether the children were safe with her. Maya grabbed her arm. Mom? That one word brought her back. But before Sonia could move, Jaehyun stepped forward, not in front of her, beside her, just as he had promised. His arm did not wrap around her. He did not claim her body for the cameras. He simply stood close enough that the message was unmistakable. Attack her, and you will answer to me. The paparazzi kept shouting. Jaehyun lifted his phone. Secretary Kim? His voice was calm, too calm. Identify every outlet represented here. Pull ownership structures, debt exposure, advertising dependencies, and any pending lawsuits. The cameras lowered slightly. Jaehyun's eyes moved over the men. All of it. One photographer laughed nervously. Chairman Kim, are you threatening the press? Jaehyun looked at him. No. A pause. I am educating it. The laughter died. He turned toward the SUV. Children inside. Maya and Andre obeyed immediately. Sonia remained where she was. Rain slid down her cheek like tears she refused to give them. Jaehyun looked at her. Are you all right? Sonia's laugh was quiet and broken. No. His face changed. Not much. Enough. Tell me what to do. The question nearly undid her. Not come here. Not let me handle it. Not be quiet. Tell me what to do. Sonia looked at the cameras, then at the school gates, then at the city that had decided she was available for public consumption. She lifted her chin. Open the door. Jaehyun did. She turned to the reporters. My children are minors, she said, voice steady despite the storm in her chest. If their faces appear anywhere, I will sue every outlet involved. Not because I have more power than you. She looked at Jaehyun, then back at them. But because I have more reason. She got into the SUV. Jaehyun closed the door. Then he turned back to the cameras. The rain darkened his suit. His expression did not move. Her name, he said, is Sonia Samuel. Not foreign distraction, not scandal, not rumor. Learn it correctly before you print it. Then he entered the vehicle. Inside, Maya was shaking. Andre was silent. Sonia reached for both of them. Jaehyun sat, soaked from rain, eyes dark with violence he was forcing himself not to use. For the first time, Sonia understood something terrible. Jaehyun was not dangerous because he was powerful. He was dangerous because he was learning to love them. And a man like that, once taught love, would not know how to lose quietly. The headline broke at 6:03 a.m. By 6:05, every parent at Seoul International Academy had seen it. By 6:20, the board was in emergency communication. By 7 o'clock, Sonia Samuel's name was no longer a name. It was a national argument. KJ Chairman's foreign obsession? Divorced American dean linked to billionaire power struggle. Insiders question whether KJ Group donations benefited her family. Shipping heiress Lee Sora remained silent amid marriage speculation. Sonia stood in her kitchen, reading the articles on her phone while coffee went cold beside her. They had chosen every word carefully. Foreign, a divorced, ambitious, unstable, mother of two, a source close to the academy, a concerned parent, an anonymous executive. Cowards always loved anonymity. Maya came out of her room and stopped. Mom? Sonia locked the phone. Get dressed. Is it bad? Sonia looked at her daughter. Maya already knew. Children always knew when the adult world had made a decision about them. It is ugly, Sonia said, but ugly is not the same as true. Andre came out next, jaw tight. I'm not going to school. Yes, you are. They're going to stare. Yes. They're going to talk. Yes. His voice cracked. Then why do we have to go? Sonia crossed the room and took his face in both hands. Because shame only works when it convinces innocent people to hide. Andre's eyes shone. Sonia lowered her voice. We did nothing wrong. Maya whispered, but they're making it feel like we did. I know. Sonia pulled both children close. For one moment, she let herself hold them, not as a dean, not as a fighter, not as a woman in cream silk who had talked back to ministers, just as a mother who wanted to wrap her children in her own skin if it meant the world could not reach them. Then she released them. Get your bags. At the academy, the whispers followed them like smoke. Parents turned, teachers stiffened, students stared openly. By lunch, Maya's fellowship had been postponed pending review. By 2, Andre had been called into the office for allegedly accessing restricted school files. By 3, Sonia understood. This was not gossip. It was architecture. Someone had designed this. And then Lee Sora entered her office. No appointment, no apology, just pale silk, pearls, and the serene cruelty of a woman who believed the world was most beautiful when arranged in her favor. Dean Samuel? Sonia looked up. Ms. Lee. Sora closed the door behind her. I came personally because I believe women should speak honestly when men make messes. How refreshing. Sora smiled. You are clever. I see why he is entertained. Sonia set down her pen. Choose your next sentence carefully. Sora's smile cooled. You misunderstand your role in this city. No, Sonia said. People keep trying to assign me one. That is different. Sora stepped closer. Jaehyun belongs to a world you cannot survive. Sonia stood. I survived a man who smiled in public and broke things in private. I survived losing my home. I survived courtrooms, gossip, debt, motherhood, and starting over in a country where people mistake my difference for weakness. She moved around the desk. Do not stand in my office and tell me what I cannot survive because your family owns ships. Sora's eyes hardened. There it is. What? The performance, strength, defiance, the noble mother, the wounded woman. It is effective, but it will exhaust him. Sonia's face changed, just slightly. Sora saw the hit and moved in. Men like Jaehyun enjoy fire until they realize it burns their house. You have children, a scandal, an ex-husband with opinions, a past. You are not a woman, Dean Samuel. You are a complication. Sonia's voice dropped. And you are what? Peace? Sora smiled again. I am continuity. No, Sonia said. You are a merger in earrings. For the first time, Sora's mask cracked. A flash of rage. There, truth. Sonia leaned closer. You don't love him. Sora's mouth tightened. Sonia continued. You need him. Sora's silence answered. Then she laughed softly. Love is a word people use when they cannot afford strategy. Sonia's eyes narrowed. And strategy is a word people use when they have no soul left to bargain with. Sora stepped back. You should leave Korea before the city teaches your children what it thinks of them. The room went quiet. That was the mistake. Not threatening Sonia. Threatening the children. Sonia walked to the door and opened it. You have 10 seconds to leave my office. Sora looked amused. Or, Sonia smiled, or I forget I'm saved. Sora stared at her, then left. Sonia closed the door and stood still. Her hands trembled. Not from fear, from restraint. Her phone buzzed. Jaehyun. She answered without speaking. His voice came low and controlled. I know. Sonia closed her eyes. What do you know? All of it. A pause. Then, Sora's family is collapsing. Sonia opened her eyes. What? Their shipping empire is over-leveraged. Marriage to me would stabilize them. The board supports it because they need her family's ports for the Busan expansion. Sonia laughed once, bitterly. So I'm not just the woman in the way. No, Jaehyun said. You are the thing they did not calculate. And Mike? Silence. Her stomach dropped. Jaehyun. His voice darkened. He landed at Incheon 40 minutes ago. Sonia gripped the phone. The past had crossed the ocean, and this time it had been invited. Mike arrived at Seoul International Academy wearing a suit he had not paid for and confidence he had not earned. Sonia saw him through the glass wall of her office and felt the old sickness rise. Not love, not longing, recognition. The body remembers danger even when the heart has finished grieving it. Mike smiled when he saw her. That smile had fooled pastors, judges, neighbors, teachers, and once, long ago, Sonia herself. Sonia! She did not stand. Mike. He looked around her office. Nice. You really upgraded. What do you want? He placed a tabloid on her desk. A photograph of Sonia and Jaehyun in the rain stared up between them. Mike clicked his tongue. Messy. Sonia folded her hands. You flew 14 hours to comment on journalism? He smiled wider. I flew 14 hours because people here are very interested in the truth about you. There it was, the voice, smooth, reasonable, rotten underneath. Sonia's spine went cold. You don't have the truth. No, Mike leaned forward, but I have enough pieces to make people believe a shape. She said nothing. He enjoyed that. You remember the evaluation? Sonia's stomach clenched. During the divorce, Mike had pushed her until she broke. Not publicly. Never where bruises could be photographed. He specialized in invisible injuries, sleepless nights, gaslighting, turning friends into witnesses, calling her unstable after creating the instability. Then, when Sonia had finally collapsed in a lawyer's office, Mike used the moment as evidence, a psychological evaluation, a weapon dressed as concern. The academy won't like it, Mike said softly. A dean with emotional instability, a foreign mother dragging children across the world, a billionaire involved. Looks reckless. Sonia kept her face still. What did they offer you? Mike chuckled. You always were direct. How much? His eyes hardened. Enough to compensate me for the humiliation of watching my ex-wife parade around Seoul like somebody's queen. There he was. Not the charming man, not the victim, the small, bitter man underneath. Sonia stood. You will not touch my children. Mike stood too. They are my children too. No, Sonia said. They are children you remember when control is useful. His mask slipped. You think that Korean billionaire can protect you from me? Sonia's voice was quiet. I think you should be very careful. Mike laughed. You always did get mouthy when you found a man to hide behind. The door opened. Jaehyun entered. No announcement, no secretary, no permission. Mike turned. For the first time since entering the office, uncertainty crossed his face. Jaehyun looked at him the way a surgeon might look at a tumor. Without hatred, with decision. Mr. Olson. Mike straightened. Chairman Kim. Jaehyun closed the door. Sonia looked at him sharply. I didn't call you. No, Jaehyun said. You didn't. That should have angered her. But his eyes moved to her face, and the quiet question was there. Do you want me to leave? Sonia could have said yes. She did not. Mike noticed. His mouth twisted. Oh, this is touching. Jaehyun walked to Sonia's side, not in front of her, beside her, again. Mike's eyes flicked between them. Jaehyun spoke calmly. You accepted money from members of my board. Mike laughed once. That's a serious accusation. Yes. Jaehyun placed a folder on the desk. So I brought proof. Mike's smile faded. Sonia stared at the folder. Jaehyun continued. Wire transfers, hotel reservation, legal consultant fees, a drafted media statement containing allegations about Ms. Samuel before you entered Korea. Mike's face tightened. Jaehyun stepped closer. You also entered the country under false professional pretenses while coordinating a defamatory campaign involving 2 minors. Mike swallowed. Are you threatening me? Jaehyun's eyes were dead calm. No, I'm giving you the courtesy of understanding the size of the machine you tried to stand in front of. Mike looked at Sonia. You're letting him do this? Sonia stared at the man who had once made her feel crazy for crying. No, she said. I'm letting you meet the consequences you always thought I was too tired to arrange. Mike's face twisted. You think you won? You think he wants all this? You think a man like him wants your drama, your baggage, your kids? The room changed. Jaehyun moved, not violently, worse, slowly. He stepped so close, Mike took one involuntary step back. Say one more word about her children. Mike's mouth opened. No sound came out. Jaehyun's voice lowered. I have spent my entire life negotiating with men who overestimate their value. Do not become the cheapest one. Mike's face flushed. Sonia touched Jaehyun's arm. Just once. A warning. A claim. A restraint. He stopped. For her. Mike saw it and hated it. Sonia picked up the folder and held it out to Mike. You have 2 choices. Leave Korea today and never contact the press, the academy, or my children without legal counsel present. Mike glared. Or? Sonia's voice became steel. Or I release everything. Not Jaehyun. Me. And this time, Mike, everyone will hear what you did in your own voice. Mike stared at her. For the first time, he looked afraid of Sonia. Not Jaehyun. Sonia. Good. He snatched the folder and left. The door closed. Silence filled the office. Sonia's strength held for exactly 4 seconds. Then her hands started shaking. Jaehyun turned to her, but he did not touch her. He waited. That broke her more than if he had reached. Sonia whispered, I hate that he still makes me feel small. Jaehyun's face tightened with pain he did not know how to show. He does not make you small, he said. He reminds your body of a room you already escaped. Sonia closed her eyes. A tear slipped down her cheek. Jaehyun's voice changed, softened into something almost reverent. Sonia. She opened her eyes. I need you to ask, she whispered. His breath caught. Then, carefully, he asked, May I hold you? She nodded once. He stepped forward and wrapped his arms around her, not like a man claiming a woman, like a man sheltering a flame from wind. Sonia pressed her face into his chest. For the first time since arriving in Korea, she let herself tremble. And high above them, unseen by both, the school security camera blinked red. Recording. The footage leaked at dawn. Not the whole thing, never the whole thing, only the part that could be twisted. Sonia in Jaehyun's arms, Sonia crying, Jaehyun holding her. No mic, no threats, no context. Just a powerful chairman comforting a school dean in her office. By noon, the Academy Board suspended Sonia pending investigation. By 2, Maya's fellowship was formally revoked. By 3, Andre was surrounded by boys in the locker room and called charity baggage. By 4, KJ Group stock had dropped 12%. By 5, Sonia stood in Jaehyun's office watching his empire bleed in red numbers across the screen. Jaehyun was on the phone with lawyers, regulators, private investigators, and men whose names Sonia did not want to know. He looked calm, but she had learned him now. The stiller he became, the more dangerous the room was. He ended the call. Sora's family funded the leak. 2 board members approved the payment. Mike is being moved to a hotel near Gangnam, under board protection. Sonia looked at the stock ticker. Red, red, red? How much have you lost today? It doesn't matter. How much? Sonia, how much? His jaw tightened, enough to make weak men brave. She laughed softly, but there was no humor in it. This is what I mean. He stepped toward her. This is temporary. No, this is my life touching yours. My life was dead before yours touched it. The words hurt, because she believed him, because she loved him, because love had become the most dangerous thing in the room. Sonia looked at him, really looked. The man who had learned her children's favorite foods, the man who asked permission before touching her, the man who could destroy enemies but was trying painfully to become gentle. And she knew, if she stayed, Jaehyun would fight the whole city. He would win, maybe, but her children would spend years as headlines, as targets, as symbols. Maya's art would always be questioned. Andre's anger would always be pathologized, and Sonia would become the woman everyone blamed for a corporate war. I love you, she said. Jaehyun went still. The words should have saved them. Instead, they opened the wound. Sonia's voice broke. I love you enough not to let my children become the battlefield where your enemies try to kill you. His face changed. No. She smiled sadly. You knew before I said it. No, Jaehyun, no. The word cracked, not loud. Worse. Human. He reached for her, then stopped himself because even in panic, he remembered the rules. That almost destroyed her. My children need air, she whispered. They need quiet. They need to stop waking up afraid of what people are saying about us. I can protect them. I know. Then stay. You can protect them from men. Tears filled her eyes. But can you protect them from becoming stories? He had no answer. That was the answer. Sonia stepped closer and touched his face. He closed his eyes like the touch hurt. You taught me something, she said. His voice was rough. What? That love can ask. She pressed her forehead to his. But motherhood sometimes has to answer first. That night, while Jaehyun was trapped in an emergency board session, Sonia packed 3 suitcases. Maya cried silently. Andre punched a pillow until his knuckles reopened. Sonia booked 3 one-way tickets to Washington, D.C. At 2:14 a.m., she stood in the apartment doorway and looked back. The rooms were small, the furniture cheap, the life unfinished. But for a few weeks, it had almost become home. On the kitchen table, she left Jaehyun's black card. Beside it, a note. You are not the cage, but the city became one. Forgive me. Then Sonia Samuel took her children and disappeared into the rain. The KJ Group boardroom looked like a courtroom designed by men who believed judgment belonged to them. 12 directors sat beneath a wall of screens. National cameras waited. Reporters filled the back row. Lee Sora sat near the front in white, composed as a bride. The country expected surrender, a public apology, a promise to stabilize the company, perhaps even an engagement announcement to the shipping heiress who represented order, continuity, and everything Seoul's elite understood. At exactly 10 a.m., Kim Jaehyun entered. No tie, no entourage, no fear. The room stood. He did not tell them to sit, So they remained standing until the silence humiliated them. Then he took his place at the podium. The red, alive light blinked on. The nation leaned closer. Jaehyun looked into the cameras. You called this meeting because you believe Sonia Samuel is a liability. Several directors stiffened. Sora's expression did not change. Jaehyun continued. You believe her children are baggage? You believe her divorce is weakness? You believe her race, nationality, age, and motherhood make her vulnerable enough to remove? His gaze shifted to the board. You were wrong. A murmur moved through the room. Jaehyun lifted a remote. The first screen changed. Wire transfers, emails, media drafts, board correspondence, Sora's shipping company financials, Mike Olson's hotel invoices. The room lost oxygen. Jaehyun's voice remained calm. For 3 weeks, members of this board coordinated a private campaign against a school administrator and her minor children. You funded her ex-husband. You manipulated academy disciplinary proceedings. You pressured an arts institute to revoke a child's fellowship. You leaked edited security footage. You used racist language in internal communications. The screen changed again. Messages appeared, ugly, careless, undeniable. A director stood. Chairman, this is inappropriate for public. Sit down. The man sat. Jaehyun looked at Sora. Lee Sora's family participated because they needed marriage to KJ Group to conceal the collapse of their shipping empire. Sora's face hardened. Jaehyun's voice dropped. You did not want me. You wanted my balance sheet. Sora stood slowly. And what did she want? Sora asked, voice cold enough to cut. Your soul? Jaehyun looked at her. No. A pause. She reminded me I had one. The room went silent. Then Jaehyun pulled a document from his jacket. Directors leaned forward. They knew documents. They trusted paper more than blood. As of this morning, I have transferred my controlling voting rights into an independent trust pending regulatory review. Every director implicated in this campaign will be removed. Every illegal action will be referred to prosecutors. The Academy Board will be dissolved and rebuilt with external oversight. The directors erupted. You can't do this. You'll destroy the group. Our partners will walk. Jaehyun looked almost bored. You mistook my silence for loyalty. He leaned toward the microphone. I was never loyal to you. I was loyal to what I believed I had built. His eyes darkened. But rot that learns to speak in board resolutions is still rot. He lifted another document, and after the restructuring, I will resign as chairman. The room froze. Even Sora looked shocked. Jaehyun looked directly into the camera. Not at the board, not at Seoul, at the woman who might never see it. I am not leaving KJ Group because of Sonia Samuel. I am leaving because she taught me the difference between an empire and a prison. His voice roughened for the first time. Sonia, if you hear this, I did not give up my life for you. He swallowed. I am finally choosing one. Then he stepped back from the podium. The reporters exploded. The directors shouted. Sora stood motionless, pale with rage. Jaehyun walked out of the boardroom without looking back. Secretary Kim followed him into the hall. Chairman, where is she? Secretary Kim hesitated, then said, Incheon, flight to Washington boards in 40 minutes. For the first time anyone had ever seen, Kim Jaehyun ran. Sonia stood at the gate with a boarding pass crushed in her hand. Maya sat with her knees pulled to her chest, headphones on but no music playing. Andre stood at the window, staring at the planes like one of them had personally betrayed him. Flight 204 to Washington, D.C. is now boarding. The announcement echoed through Sonia's bones. She had not cried, not in the taxi, not at security, not when Maya asked if leaving meant Jaehyun did not love them enough. Not when Andre whispered that Korea had finally started to feel like somewhere he could become someone new. Sonia had held herself together because mothers sometimes had to become bridges while breaking. Now at the gate, her hands shook. "Mom," Andre said suddenly. She looked up. He was pointing. At first, Sonia saw only movement. Security guards, travelers, turning. A commotion near the far end of the terminal. Then she saw him. Jaehyun, not polished, not untouchable, running. His suit was wrinkled. His coat was open. His hair had fallen across his forehead. One security guard reached for him and seemed to reconsider after looking into his face. He ran like a man who had discovered too late that love could board a plane. "Sonia!" Her name tore through the terminal. People turned. Phones lifted. Sonia could not move. Jaehyun reached her breathless, wild-eyed, alive in a way she had never seen. "Don't!" she whispered. He stopped in front of her, not touching, still asking even now, even when he looked like falling. "I left," he said. Tears filled her eyes. "I saw. I left the prison, not for you, because of you." Jaehyun, "No." His voice broke. "Let me say it once before you disappear and I spend the rest of my life speaking to an empty room." Maya began crying. Andre looked away, jaw tight. Jaehyun looked at Sonia like she was the only language he had left. "I bought the brownstone near the academy." Sonia blinked through tears. "What?" "I know, it was impulsive." A broken laugh escaped her. "Very." "I moved my books in already." "Of course you did." "I don't need the tower. I don't need the board. I don't need men who confuse cruelty with tradition." His breath shook. "I need somewhere Andre can argue with me about basketball. I need somewhere Maya can leave charcoal fingerprints on my documents. I need bad grocery store tea in a kitchen too small for my legs." Sonia covered her mouth. Jaehyun's eyes shone. "And I need you, not as rescue, not as proof, not as fire I can own, as home." She shook her head, crying now. "What if the city comes again? Then we face it honestly. What if they hurt the children? I stand beside you, not in front unless you ask. What if I get scared? Then I ask what you need. What if I run?" His face twisted. "Then I follow only far enough to make sure you are safe." That broke her. Completely. Sonia stepped forward. Jaehyun inhaled sharply. She took his face in her hands. "You are impossible." "Yes." "You are arrogant." "I am improving." "You bought a house without asking me." "A mistake. A large mistake. With good school access." She laughed through tears, then sobbed, then kissed him. Not gently, not neatly, not like a woman unsure. She kissed him like grief, relief, fury, love, and every mile between Washington and Seoul had finally collapsed. The terminal erupted. Phones recorded. People gasped. Maya cried openly. Andre muttered, "Finally," and wiped his eyes like the airport air had personally attacked him. The boarding pass slipped from Sonia's hand. It landed on the floor between them. Jaehyun rested his forehead against hers. "Stay," he whispered. Sonia closed her eyes. For once, leaving was not the brave thing. For once, staying was. She opened her eyes and looked at her children. Maya nodded. Andre shrugged, but his face said yes before his mouth did. Sonia looked back at Jaehyun. "We do this my way." His smile trembled. "Always." She pointed at him. "And you return that brownstone if I hate it." Jaehyun paused. Sonia narrowed her eyes. He said carefully, "I may have bought the one next to it as well." Andre turned around. "Bro." Maya laughed so hard she cried harder. Sonia stared at Jaehyun. Then, against all reason, against all fear, Against every scar that had told her love was a liability, she laughed too. And in the middle of Incheon International Airport, with a plane boarding without her and a city waiting to see whether she would break, Sonia Samuel chose the impossible. She chose to stay. 6 months later, Seoul had rewritten the story because Seoul loved nothing more than pretending it had always supported what it failed to destroy. The scandal became a reckoning. The Academy Board was replaced. 2 directors were indicted. Lee Sora's shipping empire collapsed under investigation. Mike Olson returned to the United States with no payout, no press deal, and a legal warning thick enough to ruin his appetite. Maya's fellowship was reinstated publicly. She accepted privately, because Sonia had taught her that not every apology deserved immediate access. Andre became famous at school for 2 things: refusing to be intimidated and somehow convincing Kim Jaehyun to attend a student basketball game wearing sneakers that cost more than the scoreboard. Sonia returned to the academy as dean, not weaker, not forgiven, feared, respected, watched differently. When she walked down the hallway, students moved with the alertness of young people who had realized justice had an office and wore gold hoops. And Jaehyun? Jaehyun became something Seoul had no category for: a former chairman, a private investor, a man who could still move markets before lunch, but was often seen at 3:15 p.m. outside the academy gates, holding Maya's art portfolio in one hand and Andre's sports drink in the other. The tabloids called him softened. They were wrong. He had not softened. He had become selective about where he placed his violence. The brownstone near the academy became home slowly, not because it was beautiful, though it was. Not because it had space, though Andre nearly cried when he saw his room, but because Sonia filled it with rules. Shoes off near the door. No business calls during dinner. No buying buildings without discussion. No surveillance. No secrets involving the children. No grand gestures when an apology would do. Jaehyun obeyed most of them. The building rule remained under review. One evening, Sonia came home late from the academy to find the dining room full of warmth. Brisket, kimchi, rice, greens. Maya's sketches spread across one end of the table. Andre arguing loudly about defensive rotations. Jaehyun standing in the kitchen wearing rolled sleeves and the focused expression of a man attempting cornbread like it was a hostile takeover. Sonia stopped in the doorway. No one saw her at first. That was the gift, to witness the life without having to hold it up. Maya was laughing. Andre was talking with his whole body. Jaehyun was listening like every word mattered. Sonia felt something inside her loosen. The vault, the one she had locked after Mike. The one she thought would stay sealed forever. It opened quietly, not with drama, with dinner. Jaehyun looked up then. Their eyes met across the room. His face changed in that small way only she knew. The world had once called him ice, but Sonia knew the truth now. Ice was not the absence of fire. Sometimes it was fire that had been forced to survive by freezing. He crossed the room and took her bag from her shoulder. Long day, she nodded. Mrs. Park tried me again. His eyes sharpened. Do I need to? No. He stopped. She smiled. I handled it. His expression softened. Of course you did. Andre called from the table. Mom, tell him cornbread is not supposed to look scared. Jaehyun turned. Food cannot look scared. Maya said, Yours can. Sonia laughed. Jaehyun looked wounded. You are all very disrespectful. Andre grinned. Family trait. The word landed. Family. Not perfect, not simple, not clean, chosen, built, fought for. Sonia sat at the head of the table while Jaehyun took the seat beside her. Not above, not apart, beside. Halfway through dinner, his hand found hers under the table. His thumb brushed her knuckles. A quiet question. She answered by turning her hand over and lacing their fingers. Jaehyun leaned close, his voice low enough for only her. The world was black and white before you. Sonia looked at him. No, she said softly. It was just unfinished. His eyes warmed. Then finish it with me. Sonia looked around the table, at Maya's charcoal-stained fingers, at Andre's bright, unguarded laughter, at the man who had left a tower and found a home. Then she squeezed his hand. We already started. Outside, Seoul glittered, still sharp, still hungry, still watching. But inside that house, Sonia Samuel was no longer running from a life that had broken her. She was building one strong enough to answer back. And if the city ever came for them again, it would not find a frightened woman, a lonely man, and 2 wounded children. It would find a family, and this time they would not be easy to move. The end.